ended my video before I was done talking. Like, way before I was done talking. So, so kids are wonderful, babies are wonderful, but as far as the ethics of pro-life versus abortion, you have to consider the value of human life. I think that a lot of times people that believe in Darwinism or evolution believe in this concept of survival of the fittest, and so this tends to kind of justify them saying that, okay, well, what if you have a Down's baby, or what if you have a baby that's sick? You know, sometimes it's just better. It's nature's way of, you know, weeding out. Well, it's not nature's way if it's humans intervening and taking this matter into their own hands. If God wants someone to die, and that's a bad way of wording that, but if it's somebody's time to die, if their time on earth, their time in this lifetime, whatever you believe, as far as heaven or the afterlife, if your time is up, you know, you may be a young person, you may be a child, a baby, or an adult, and if it's your time to go and you die by way of natural disasters or crimes or whatever, there is rhyme and reason in the universe for why things happen, for life and death. But when people take matters into their own hands and kill other human beings, then that's not okay. They're interfering with, you know, with the laws of the universe and with what's right and what's wrong. And I think that a lot of religions teach, you know, the concept of sin. If you're doing bad things, it's called a sin. Well, I think if you were going to categorize sins, I think the worst sin or wrong thing that you could do, the worst kind of evil, is to just go out and kill another human being for no rhyme or reason. You just, you know, for whatever reason, you're not okay with them living because it'll inconvenience you or make you upset. So it doesn't matter whether it's a grown person or a baby or an infant or an unborn baby. A person is a person, and especially as not only as a human being, but as an American citizen, you know, here in this country, you know, we have the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, how can you have liberty and the pursuit of happiness if you don't have that first basic right, which is the right to life? So, excuse me. So, on the one hand, it's the most basic, you know, rule of basic ethical law of respecting human life and not taking matters of God or nature or whatever into our own hands. Secondly, it's not like getting into a fight with someone and, you know, that's your equal and you beat them over the head with something and they end up dying. It's not like that, because we're talking about someone who's helpless, who's not fully developed as a human being. They are a human being by 6, 8, 10 weeks of pregnancy. They already have a beating heart, and so in their limbs and all their internal organs are beginning to develop at a certain point. So they are a human being. They're not fully developed, but that little creature, that little human being, has a soul. And so not only are you destroying their right to life, but you're sending their soul back out into the universe and into the spiritual world when they were destined to come here to earth. And that is wrong. So I am pro-life. I also say I'm pro-choice, but what I mean by that is I'm pro-choice as far as people having the right to choose whether they live or die. And those unborn children don't get that right. That should be theirs. They don't get to choose whether they live or die, because someone else has made that choice for them unfairly. And so I say I'm pro-choice in that sense. And I realize that, and don't get me wrong, I realize that there are circumstances that women or young girls get in that make it very difficult for them to have a healthy pregnancy or to be able to take care of a child or a baby. I understand that. However, there are other options out there. And if someone could just hang on long enough and just, be patient enough to get through the pregnancy, then there are options such as adoption. And there are families, there are couples that can't have children of their own that would be more than willing to take in a child and love them and care for them. Adoption is awesome, and I very much applaud it. Yay, adoption. But I think a lot of times the reasons why people don't want to do that is, one, they don't like the idea of adoption, of giving up their child, but on the other hand, they'll go and get an abortion, which is mind-boggling to me, because, okay, you don't want to give your child to a family that has the means and the willingness to take care of that child and raise it, but then you're going to go and have an abortion. And you don't want that child anyway, so why not let somebody else take care of that child and love that child and raise it? That to me just seems selfish. So I'm not saying that everybody that has an abortion, that they're just, cold, heartless, soulless individuals. I think that a lot of times they're young women, young girls that don't really know what they're doing and don't have very many options. But I don't think it's right. I don't think abortion is right. And it's not just religiously motivated. Granted, growing up, I had religious motivations for being pro-life. But it's not just about that, even just as a human being. Here in the world, in the universe, and in being an ethical person, I think it's wrong. I think it's very wrong to not respect other people's lives and to consider our own lives above that of other people. And not just our own lives, but our own comfort or our own, circumstances. And a lot of times I hear an excuse come up, an excuse in regards to abortion, that, oh, what about rape, or what about cases of poverty? Well, I think that regardless of someone's financial background or their childhood, they have the ability to rise above and be who they want to be in life. They can rise above difficult circumstances. Granted, it might put them at a disadvantage, but, one of our great presidents, Abraham Lincoln, he started out a poor farm kid with nothing and practically illiterate. And he ended up being a great president. He signed the Emancipation Proclamation, which freed the slaves. So he amounted to something, regardless of his upbringing. And I think that anybody, doesn't matter what your childhood, what your upbringing is, you can have the ability to rise above your circumstances and make your life worthwhile and be successful and be happy in life. And I don't think that that necessarily dictates. And being rich or being well off or having privilege does not necessarily mean that you'll be happy or successful in life, because as the saying goes, money doesn't buy happiness. So, and then I've heard plenty of stories about young moms and single moms raising their children, and their children love them, and their children are grateful. And then there's other stories about, people that were adopted, and they are grateful for their birth mothers giving them up and giving them the opportunity to have a good life. And they realize and they acknowledge the sacrifices, or how much of a sacrifice that was. But, and yet, on the flip side, they're grateful to their biological parents for having given them that opportunity. So it's kind of a matter of selfishness versus selflessness. And so that's my take on abortion and pro-life. And I will probably make a third video discussing some other issues in relation to religion and ethics. But these are two issues that I really wanted to touch on and share my views and beliefs and opinions on this. So, that's it for now. Have a good night.